Hi, everyone. Today we're going to continue our discussion of Number the Stars. And today's focus will be attending to minor characters, paying attention to the importance of not the main character, but the minor characters and what they contribute to our understanding of the text. So today I want to teach you that minor characters are in a story for a reason. They, like the main character, help to carry the big messages or big ideas of the story. One way to improve your interpretation of a story is to reread, trying to understand the point of view or the perspective of a minor character, and then to revise your interpretation to include what you learn. It's a lot of information. Basically, today we're going to try to focus on the minor characters' perspectives and see how that contributes to our understanding of the book. Okay, so here's an excerpt from Number the Stars, that we've read. It says, Anne-Marie wandered to the barn where Uncle Henrik was milking Blossom. He was kneeling on the straw-covered floor beside the cow, his shoulder pressed against her heavy side. Anne-Marie leaned against the ancient splintery wood of the barn wall and listened to the sharp, rattling sound of the streams of milk as they hit the sides of the bucket. Uncle Henrik glanced over at her and smiled without pausing in the rhythm of milking. He didn't say anything. So we're going to focus now, not so much on Anne-Marie's thoughts during this interaction, but on Uncle Henrik's thoughts. Okay. He might be thinking, right, when she comes over to talk to him, oh gosh, I'm really busy right now, right? He's taking care of his farm. He's got a lot he's obviously planning to do to help out. He's saying, I've got a lot on my mind. He might also be thinking, though, I better make it a point to smile at Anne-Marie, though. I don't want her to worry, so maybe I'll try to hide my worries to protect her from all the stuff that's worrying me. Okay, it's possible that's what he could be thinking. Okay, let's read this next excerpt. Through the barn windows, the pinkish light of sunset fell in irregular shapes upon the stacked hay. Flecks of dust and straw floated there in the light. Uncle Henrik, Anne-Marie said suddenly, her voice cold, you are lying to me. You and Mama both. His strong hands continued, deftly pressing like a pulse against the cow. The steady stream of milk still came. He looked at her again, his deep blue eyes kind and questioning. You are angry, he said. Let's consider what he might be thinking now, right? I wonder if maybe he's thinking, I guess maybe I've been expecting this. My niece sure is smart. What should I say about the whole Aunt Bert thing? Should I lie? Should I not? What's the right thing to do? Okay. And I bet he's thinking, I should really try hard to remain calm for my niece. So let's think here of this passage. Continues on and says, yes, Mama has never lied to me before, never. But I know there is not Great Aunt Bert. Never once in all the stories I've heard, in all the old pictures I've seen, has there been a Great Aunt Bert. I bet Uncle Henrik might be thinking, she knows something's up. She wants an explanation. Let me think, how should I deal with this? She's just a kid. I don't want her to have to know all this stuff. It puts her at risk. And I wonder if he then says, when he sighs, you know what? I will tell her my mind's made up. From that action of sighing, sometimes when someone sighs, it's kind of like they are saying, you know what? I've decided on something. So it seems like he's saying, I've decided. I'm going to tell her my mind is made up. Okay. Now you're going to try to think about Uncle Henrik's thoughts based on this next part. At last, he turned to Anne-Marie as he wiped his own hands with the cloth. How brave are you, little Anne-Marie? He asked suddenly. She was startled and dismayed. It was a question she did not want to be asked. When she asked it of herself, she didn't like her own answer. Not very, she confessed, looking at the floor of the barn. Now, I want you to think about all the things you know about Uncle Henrik in order to try to imagine his thoughts and his perspective, right? Think about how we know that he has a good relationship, right, with Anne-Marie. We know that he seems to be a very kind, helpful person, okay? What might he be thinking? Try to think of that, okay? And you try to kind of Think about, who is he? Think about his role in life, right? His relationship to Anne-Marie, okay? And think about how he's probably deciding, should I tell her the truth or should I lie, right? Like he went through this grappling back and forth, right? How much of the truth should I tell her? Okay. Try to take a moment and maybe talk out. What do you think he could be thinking? Okay. And we don't know, right? Because that's not the author's message. They didn't share that with us, those specific things. So we're going to use the other things we know to decide what might he be thinking. Okay. So try to pretend you would be Uncle Henrik and kind of say what you think his thoughts might be. Okay. Reading that passage, what might he be saying? Okay. Now let's continue on reading. Tall Uncle Henrik knelt before her so that his face was level with hers. I think that is not true, Uncle Henrik said. I think you are brave like your mama and like your papa and like me. Frightened, but determined. And if the time came to be brave, I am quite sure you would be very, very brave. But, he added, it is much easier to be brave if you do not know everything. And so your mama does not know everything. Neither do I. We only know what we need to know. Okay. Based on this part, let's think, what are Uncle Henrik's thoughts maybe now? He seems to be making a decision about how much he wants to share, right, with his niece. Okay. So think about that and use that to kind of imagine his thoughts. Okay. Now that we've sort of thought about things from Uncle Henrik's point of view, let's go back to our old ideas and see how that might fit in or change what we thought. So when we talked about the themes of the book, one theme that we said is emerging in this text is that war is making Anne-Marie grow up fast, right? It's making her grow up much faster than she would have had to be. And she's having to be really brave, right, for a kid, even for an adult. Okay, so this idea that war is making her grow up faster. Does this interaction, does imagining Uncle Henrik's perspective help us to fit in with that? Okay, I think it really does, because it's helping. What we talked about was that Uncle Henrik is saying, I think I have to share this information with my niece. I have to almost make her an adult like us. I have to almost make her have the same role as us, right? I can't lie to her and I can't protect her completely. So this kind of does help us to really develop that idea that war is making Anne-Marie grow up fast. So if I were writing down a theme about that, I might say, here's more evidence that shows how Anne-Marie is having to grow up fast, okay? She's having to be pretty brave, and the other characters in the book, like Uncle Henrik, are supporting that idea, okay? So from stepping into this perspective, okay, from trying to step into Uncle Henrik's shoes, so to speak, we're saying, how do we really deepen that explanation, that understanding of the book, okay? So let's review the things that we did in order to understand a more minor character's perspective. So to understand Uncle Henrik's perspective, we had to think about how, one, a character's role in life might influence what he or she sees and feels, right? So he's her uncle, right? He is someone who cares about her and he wants to do the right thing for her. Okay. A character's past might influence what he or she thinks or feels, right? So, what was his experience up till now? He was a farmer, right? So does that maybe make him grapple with this war more, right? He wasn't a soldier. This is new to him. So maybe his past is making him more confused about what to do. And he's saying, I don't know if I know the right thing always. Okay. A character's group membership might influence what he or she thinks or feels. So maybe that he is saying, I am, really wanting to help in this terrible situation. So I want to help the Jewish people who are being victimized. I want to help them so much that I maybe have to share thoughts with my niece that I normally wouldn't. Maybe she has to know these really hard truths and realities. And a character's place, the setting, might influence what he or she feels or thinks. So if we think about what's going on here, right, this, I guess under normal circumstances, probably the character, Uncle Henrik, wouldn't have shared all this scary information with his niece. But in this particular setting and what's going on right now, it might have influenced him to make the decision, right, to share more than he would normally share with her. Now, we don't know what he's thinking because the author didn't tell us, but by taking all of these points into consideration, we can probably come up with some ideas that he might be thinking. Now, today, as you read your own historical fiction book, I want you to try to pay more attention to those minor characters. Think about what might they be thinking, right? And as you kind of walk through their thoughts, say, how could this help me to understand my book more deeply? Does this fit in with the ideas that I was already developing? Does it help me to get new ideas? Does it change my idea? So as you're reading, I want you to pause and say, I'm going to try to look from the minor character's perspective today instead of the main character's perspective. Okay. Okay. Good luck with your work and have a great day.